Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Clem Hawks, folks. I'm Yak, ready to take you through my first edition here on Clem Hawks of a monetized video. Thank you so much, everyone who has tuned in so far that is returning for this video. It has been one heck of a journey to get my man Clem back to the land of monetization on YouTube. However, we achieved that over the past weekend, and here we are, Thursday of all days, back in the money-making column here on YouTube, trying to make sure Mr. Clem can afford a vacation somewhere in particular sometime soon. So folks, that's that. However, you know what? There's one thing that is all but certain in the NHL and was at a time now questioned, and that's kind of what I was trying to lead off with the monetization angle. Was it was something that we knew we would be able to achieve. It was just a matter of when, not if. And that is today's topic, more or less. Patrice Bergeron. What's the latest there, folks? If anyone has more recent news than day one of NHL Free Agency, fill me in, because the latest updates on a contract for Mr. Patrice Bergeron aren't that recent. Signs point to Patrice Bergeron making a decision on the NHL future 6 days ago. Bruins will have to sacrifice someone for him. Right? Like they're sitting here looking it all out, and there's nothing really for news. And yet 2-3 weeks ago, it seemed all but certain it was just a matter of when, not if, that Patrice Bergeron would be back as a Boston Bruin for the next year and then probably retire, was seeming to be the time frame on the situation with the Boston Bruins. However, now we're sitting here, we have no clue what's going on because things have kind of gone silent, and obviously it's the quiet days of the NHL offseason now too. But friends, I'm here to ask yourselves, is it for sure? Or is there maybe going to be that dark horse team that comes in and scoops up Patrice Bergeron? Folks, stick for that. But if you're new to the channel, take a few seconds here, take the next 5-10 and consider subscribing to the channel. We're just about to cross 3,750 subs. And man, we have been blazing it up, all thanks to you guys, very, very much so in the subs column. So that said, right, is it going to happen for Patrice Bergeron? I think it's still a slam dunk he re-signs with the Bruins, and if not, he is done with playing in the NHL. I think that is a guarantee. Similar to my video I did last night with the Montreal Canadiens and PK Subban discussion, is there's just things in the NHL that make 100% sense, and anything otherwise is a complete shock. And that is one of these things right here with Patrice Bergeron. Is there's been rumors he'll go play with Montreal, he'll go here, whatever. Nothing substantial that actually makes you go, yeah, that's a real possibility. You might have one day of uproar about it on Twitter. You might have one big guy post a video on YouTube about it. But it's not one of those things where it is 100% something's happening elsewhere. It's one of those things. I think everybody knows how this ends. I think everybody expects it to end only one way, or the retirement route. And that's where we're sitting, right? Patrice Bergeron is kind of this summer's forgotten free agent, completely forgotten. We're not talking like Phil Kessel's still sitting out there, but everyone's talking about him. No, we're talking about Patrice Bergeron's just gone totally silent for the past 2.5 weeks, and we have no clue really what's going on, because you look up articles, there's talking blogs about it, but there isn't really anything that's sitting there saying, 100%, yeah, it is. This is the update. There isn't really that right now, right? There isn't that to the extent that we're really going out there and pounding in. There's a contract in the works with X, Y, and Z team. It's happening by next Tuesday, and 100% it'll be this dollar amount or this dollar amount for this terms or this terms. There is none of that. And for Patrice Bergeron, you think a player of that caliber would kind of be drawing that attention to himself in the NHL free agent market that we currently sit in. However, when you're sitting here now kind of being that forgotten guy, sometimes you end up just simply being that forgotten guy. And coming off a $6.875 million contract, yes, he's from Quebec, Canada. He's a lifelong Boston Bruin, right? There's 100% sense in keeping him around for good. But end of the day, it's not like he had a bad season this year. He had 65 points in 73 games. You're talking about a guy who just had a better season point-wise than the past 2 years. You're talking about a guy who put up a point per game in the NHL playoffs in 7 games where the Bruins lost. You're talking about a guy who realistically is 37 years old. You're talking about a guy who, lifetime, has made $93 million. You're talking about a guy who started playing in the NHL in 2003. You're talking about a guy who has been to the playoffs all but, and this is the crazy part for the Bruins, he has been to the playoffs all but a handful of seasons. Give me the correct number here, Tyson. How about 5 seasons in his career he has not been to the playoffs? That is insane, guys. Over a span that goes from 03-04 to 22-23 potentially, Patrice Bergeron has been around and around and around the old rigger. So yeah, I would get it if he ends up hanging him up after this season and saying that's it, that's all she wrote for this NHL career of mine. I'm going to find a development role in the Boston Bruins, the organization, and that's it, that's all. But I don't know. I don't think so, right? We had the rumors off the top of free agency that it was all but a done deal, that he was going back, he's going to be there, no problem, don't question it, he'll be back. And so far, we have not seen that movement. And that's where I'm just saying, is this a slam dunk? Or is it one of those things he could retire? He could be just simply done. Or is there that dark horse team? Is there somebody out there targeting Patrice Bergeron? They have his ear enough to keep him interested, right? The Bruins have $4.5 million in cap and realistically only have Pavel Zacha to sign. Like, they are not hurting for cap space to sign a guy for a $1.25 million deal, one last hurrah at a cup kind of contract. That's not what they're hurting there for. So for the Bruins, there's a lot of tremendous upside to getting Patrice Bergeron signed. You're talking about a guy, even at 38, if he puts up 40 points, folks, we're in an NHL nowadays where if you're 35 plus, everybody expects you to be so negative towards your team in terms of every on-ice metric that you might as well be playing on the moon because you're hurting them that bad. And quite honestly, Patrice Bergeron is not going to be one of those guys at 38 years old because the point production, despite any other aspect of his game, is going to outweigh the negative 100%. That's who he is. That's who he's been his whole career. And he is that kind of guy, right? A guy that wins. I think the last stat I saw this year, he had won like 60% of his faceoffs the game when he faced the Oilers. Like, the guy wins faceoffs. He does the small things right and then produces 65 points in 73 games. Are you kidding me? But now it's a matter, I'm asking the question because I have to ask the question to get some views. Is it a slam dunk that he goes back to the Bruins, or is it retirement, or is there a dark horse team in on Patrice Bergeron? Folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm Yak. This is Clem Hawks. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. And again, thank you for being on this journey with us here on Clem Hawks. It's been my pleasure to have you along. And of course, Clem and Gillies TV as well. I am up on out of here.